How's it going? Oh my god, and then there's an ad as soon as I start. That's amazing. So, hello. I don't have any expectations for this. I don't really anticipate this going any particular way. If only you had seen me before this moment trying to set up. It was a lot. Hopefully the audio is okay. I have a mic, as you can see. Hello. How are you? Hopefully you're well. Um, I have a painting. I started a painting a few months ago. I actually don't know what orientation this is supposed to be. Is it gay? Is it straight? I don't know. But yeah, gonna flow. And I did write some things down to talk about potentially, but once again we're just flowing, we're just going. So also, I'm gonna be honest. This is very new for me, so I'm kind of feeling a little weird. But here we are. Got my palette. Put a little bit too much, but it's okay. I think. I'm gonna hit this bell also. So I should have advised you to watch your ears. Hopefully, that wasn't too loud. Also, this is a live stream, so I don't know who'll be watching now or in the future, but hello. Once again, thank you for tuning in. If you want to check out the description down below, there's information on that. I literally did not think too much about this. I brainstormed, I thought about it, but okay. I don't know how should I do this. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. I feel like I messed it up. I feel like it's okay. We're going with it. We're flowing. It's okay. Once again, I hope the audio is okay. I didn't necessarily. I did a test on my regular camera, but that doesn't usually translate too well. So I don't know. But yeah. One of the things that I wrote down that I wanted to talk about was like new beginnings, because this is a new thing for me. Um, well, it's not entirely new. I've done this before, but I'm in a different setup, different environment, different rules, and all that stuff. Hello, welcome. Hopefully the audio is okay. I don't know. I often have people tell me I have a soft voice, so I don't know. If somebody could be so kind to tell me how the audio is, that'd be nice. But if anything, I guess I'll just get to the end of this and be like, oh, frick, I should have. Hello, testing. I should have. Should I like? Once again, I spent a lot of time preparing for this. I probably won't be on here very long, which is really funny to think about. Yeah. Also, maybe I should move forward a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, new beginnings can be very difficult. They can be very nerve-wracking, very anxiety-inducing. And I don't know. One thing I've noticed, like in the last few weeks, is that like the body, at least my body, and I think most performers, most artists feel this way, like when they share their work. Like there's this thing where like, yes, you're excited to share, you're excited to show up or whatever, but it feels not pleasant, you know. Um, and that's just something a lot of performers have to, artists have to deal with, you know. Frick. I guess this is a note for next time. Like, oh, I guess I did bring this. Have this. Hopefully the audio is okay. I love that thing. Once again, I did a test, but not on here, and I feel like sometimes the different platforms have different audio systems. I don't know how that works, but I mean, at some point, there might be the AC that turns on, so that's also something. Once again, I don't really expect anything out of this. I'm just kind of showing up, just doing what I said I would do. So, if somebody does join, if somebody wants to hang out, that's cool. If not, well, and that's a part of it. Like with new beginnings, like when you start new things, when you commit to things, sometimes it doesn't go how you want. Sometimes it doesn't, and you have to be prepared for that. You know, what's that phrase? Uh, what's that phrase? If you prepare to, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail, or something like that. So like sometimes you really just gotta like anticipate the worst. I'm not saying you should expect the worst, but you definitely should anticipate that things might not go exactly how you anticipate, how you want. I feel like I should definitely do different plots. Boop, boop. And in theory, once I'm done with this, I don't know what this will look like when I'm done, but in theory, if anybody wanted to purchase this, you could just message me, email me, whatever. Um, I've been trying to sell some paintings. I have some other paintings that I feel like are complete. I don't feel like doing anything extra to these. Somebody said this was a witch's hat. It also looks like an island. It also looks like a lot of. It looks like the number one, but it's abstract. It's not supposed to be anything. This obviously that looks like a face, but again, it's not supposed to be anything. It's just colors on a page, you know, or on a canvas. I have to let this dry. So, I did get out another canvas because I felt like I have a goal for how long I want this to last. So I don't think it's gonna go any further than that. If it does, okay, whatever. But I'm really just expecting to be on for like 20, 30 minutes. And so, and also I think that was funny too because I was like experiencing a lot of anxiety about coming up here and doing this. And I think it's funny how much time, how much energy, like performance anxiety can take up when you're only like performing like 3 minutes of a song or like, you know what I mean? Like it's funny. Your nerves will get you like up. You won't be able to sleep. You won't be able to eat. And then meanwhile, it's only because of 3 minutes of performance. It's crazy. Um, but gotta laugh at it, right? Gotta find some enjoyment in it. Another thing that I wrote down. I'm supposed to pretend like I didn't make notes, but I did make notes. So, I don't know. I'm kind of hesitant to talk about this, and it's not absolute. I don't know. Nothing was said concretely, but in my head, this is what it is. Um, if you have watched my videos, like the scheduled videos that I make or I made, you probably, oh my gosh, how do I do this? You probably witnessed me talking about a particular relationship, a particular person in my life, and I don't know. I feel like for the longest time, I have been going back and forth about if the AC's on. Hopefully, that's not an issue. I've been going back and forth with whether or not this person was like good for me, like healthy for me, and like my life trajectory. And I feel like I already knew the answer. I think a lot of the times we know the answer. We know whether or not we should be doing something, whether or not we should be interacting with somebody. But the ego wants what it wants. That's not a judgment. It just is what it is. The human wants what it wants, and that's just what it is. Um, and I don't know. There was a lot of different moments. We were dating, and then there was a moment where I was trying to live stream on TikTok, and I don't know if it really matters to even talk about it. I also let me not be one of those people who can only talk. Can you walk and talk at the same time, man? Multitask. um, yeah, I was on I almost said Instagram. I haven't been on Instagram forever. I was on TikTok and I was trying to live stream. And sure, it's my responsibility, yes, to like stay focused and to do what I need to do, whatever I know that. Yes, 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 yes. Take responsibility for their own actions, yes. But as my partner, as a person that I'm dating, um, I would hope, I can't expect anything other than what people give me, but I would hope, I would be appreciative of the sort of energy where like, you are considerate and respectful of things that I have going on. Because this is all me. Like I scheduled when I was gonna come on here, I decided that I was gonna, you know what I mean? Nobody else is telling me to do this. This is all me. And for me to be dating somebody who relatively consistently is like kind of pulling me away from that stuff, it's like, you know. And I was planning on breaking up with him over like in person. I did not think too much about that. I was not, because we'd broken up many times before. But I felt like this time I was like, I want to do it over in person, and I want to like, I don't know. I didn't think it through. I just decided that's how I was gonna do it. Um, but yeah, he kept texting me, and I kept allowing him. I'm gonna take responsibility. I kept allowing him to like pull me out of the energy that I was supposed to be in, which was live stream. And I don't know. I was just done. I was just so tired at that point. I was just like, okay, we're done. I can't keep doing this. Like, we're over. We're done. I love you, but this is no, thank you. And then he went silent on me. He went ghost on me. I don't know what was going on in his head. I don't know what was happening. I have my own ideas. I have my own stories, but they're just not. They're just ideas. They're just my thoughts. Um, and that is also really triggering. Like, I'm not like super needy. I'm not super clingy. But as a Gemini, it's not because I'm a Gemini, but I do attribute like my astrological placements to my communication style. I have a lot of communication energy in my chart. Like I'm a Gemini sun with a Virgo moon, a Virgo stellium, a lot of Virgo. If you know about Virgo, it's like Mercury also, and also Libra. I have a Libra ascendant, and it's like I have a Cancer Venus, which isn't communication, but Cancer is very sweet and soft. But whatever. Anyways, um, the point of what I'm saying with astrology is that I know that I crave like communication. I crave assurance. And I don't know, it was just this constant thing. And so, yeah, we broke up. We didn't talk for a few days, and then we talked because of me mostly. I talked to him. But then fast forward, and what happened exactly? I'm drawing a blank now. I don't even know. Um, I'm gonna use red. I knew you were trouble when you walked in. Now I'm lying on the cold hard ground. Oh, oh shit. Oh, trouble, trouble. Okay. So then fast forward, and I was coming. Where was I at? What was I doing? Oh, I was riding the bus. I was coming back to my apartment from somewhere, and I was on the bus. And I was not planning on talking about this, by the way. Like I have talking points for this stream. This was not. I was not expecting to talk about this, but this feels natural. Um, Gotta let it out somehow, right? I don't know. So I was on the bus. I was coming back. Also, I'm letting this dry. That's the only reason why I'm not doing anything with my hands. I'm actively letting this dry. But I think, is it ready? Can I do other things? I don't know. I'm scared. Um, so I was riding the bus, and it was like a first time experience. A lot of new beginnings, a lot of new experiences for me recently, and that in itself can be very stressful. So if you're in a period of new beginnings, please be patient with yourself. Okay. All right. But I was riding the bus, and I was texting him, and I basically told him the situation it was like drizzling, it was about to rain, and I didn't really know exactly where I was going. I don't have glasses right now, so I can't see very far, so I have to rely on my GPS a lot of the time when I'm on the bus. And I don't know. I think part of it boils down to like communication difference and like a perspective difference, and there's other factors, but I think that's like the core of it. Basically I was communicating that like I wanted a little bit more support from him. Like I was in a really fucked situation. I wasn't asking him to come get me. I wasn't, you know what I mean? But because once again it was about to rain, I didn't know where I was supposed to be going. My phone was slowly dying, and I was like, yeah. I think that's the point I was like, what? I think I said I need to go. I need to because my phone's dying. I can't text. All he said was okay. Not even like the word okay, like just okay. And that felt a little bit like a sting. You know, obviously he didn't do anything, but that felt a little bit like really okay. Like, I, and then before that actually, and some of you are gonna be like, "What? Are you fucking serious?" Before that moment, when I initially told him like the situation, it was about to rain. I'm super sweaty. Like the bugs are getting me. I said all that, and he hearted the messages. And I don't know why that triggered me in that moment, but it triggered me, and I was like, it feels like you're like commiserate. It feels like you're like, and whether or not he was, I even said it in the moment. I was like, whether or not you are, that's how that came across. Like I'm telling you that I'm in a shitty situation, and your response is to just heart my messages. And then he said, I feel you, and I'm like, no, you don't. You're at home, like safe and warm. Like what? Um, so that was the thing, and I communicated that. I was like, yeah, that felt a little bit off. Um, I think one thing that kept happening is that when I would explain how I was feeling about something that he did, he would often try so hard to deflect and be like, "Well, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to do that. That wasn't my intention." And like intentions do matter, but like at the same time, if your intentions are to warm the building and you end up setting a fire, does it matter what your intentions are? Now the building's on fire. It doesn't matter how much good you meant to do, and you still created an issue. Like, and it doesn't mean that you're evil. It doesn't mean that you're bad. But like, it does mean that if you care about the situation, you should do something about it. And that was like consistently an issue. It was just like because he would try so hard to defend himself and be like, "I didn't mean that. I'm a good person. I'm not trying to hurt you. Okay, I'm not necessarily saying that you're trying to hurt me, but then, you know." And I made the mistake. I will take responsibility because I did blow up his phone. At some point he said because we were going back and forth and I was expressing myself. I was telling him how I felt over text, and I tried to. Well, not yet. At some point I tried to call him, but before that I was like texting him. And I was like, can you like I don't like, and I should have known better. I should have because we've been together for how long, like how many years, and I've witnessed the same pattern. So it's like, why was I thinking it could be different? You know what I mean? But somehow in our brains we often like to think that like the next time is gonna be the best time or the next time is gonna be different, but sometimes it is, usually it's not. It depends, but um yeah, I was blowing up his phone. I kept texting, and I was really like at the core of it I was kind of reaching for connection. I was trying to like, you know, because that's my person. Like as fucking annoying as he could be, like that was the person that I went to or I was supposed to go to for like safety and like, you know. And I even said that in messages. I was like, "So you're just gonna ignore me?" Like he said clearly, "I'm gonna stop responding," and I was like, "Can you like call me? Like, can I?" I tried to call him so many times, and he was just not responding. And I'm like, "So this is what you do? Just this is how you treat somebody that you say that you love, that you say that you care about? You like, you know?" And I get it. I get the other perspective. Like he was maybe, and maybe this is just an idea. Maybe this is just a theory. Hello, I'm just venting. I'm supposed to be painting, but I'm just venting. Um, and I get the other perspective. Like you're probably protecting your peace, your perceived peace, because that's a whole nother video I can make. I think I wrote it down somewhere, but like, there's a difference between genuine peace and like avoidance. Like, yeah, and I think he did a lot. He would avoid feeling discomfort, and it's like, um, but yeah, like I can understand his perspective. Like he was just trying to protect his state of mind, protect his. Hello. Yeah, I have an alarm that just went off. I have alarms that go off throughout the day, and sometimes I forget to turn them off when I do this. I really did not expect to be talking about this. I guess it's still fresh. Not kidding, but it does feel good to talk about it. I guess I don't know. I don't really talk about this stuff as much as I could. Probably, I'm gonna use red. 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 What was I saying? I don't even know what I was saying. Does it even matter? I don't know. I'm gonna go back to this. I don't remember where I left off. And I don't even think about this anymore. Part of me is like, I doubt anybody will ever see this video or this live stream, whatever. It doesn't matter. Oh, from the other perspective, I can understand, and I've witnessed this a lot with like people who come to me for readings and shit. Like people dating avoidance, people dating people who like don't know how to have healthy conflict, or oh shit, oh my fucking goodness, I spilled some paint on the ground on the floor. But yeah, because healthy conflict is a necessary part of relationships, of like growth in general. You know, there's gonna be moments where you're uncomfortable. There's gonna be moments where you're not necessarily happy or like and like learning to deal with that is a really important thing. And oftentimes he would try so hard to avoid things. He would, and it's like you can't avoid. You could do it. You could try, but logically, oh my gosh, you can't avoid every discomfortable, uncomfortable. That's not a word. Discomfort, uncomfortable. Shut up. Over, over analyzing. You can't. I'm trying to. You can't escape every comfortable feeling. Sometimes you just have to learn, and I'm saying you have to, but what I mean is the most ideal way is to learn how to deal with uncomfortable feelings. I don't know if there's anything in here. There is a little bit in there, but it's like, how do I get it out of there? That's the dilemma. Do you ads? Oh shit. Um, and I don't know. I get it on some level because I can only imagine. I can only imagine because I'm not holding all of that, but I can only imagine the type of stuff that he was holding on to, like psychologically, energetically, you know, because we all have stuff. We all have issues. We all have things that don't feel good when we think about it and whatever. That's just part of the human experience, unfortunately. Um, but part of a whole experience, like becoming whole and like becoming balanced or whatever, is learning how to feel those feelings and not jump to running away from them because they're not going to go away. They're going to come. And one thing that I heard the other day that I really like this. If there's anybody who happens to tune into this, are you listening? Feelings are visitors. They're also information, but they're visitors. They're not meant to be the ruler of your body. Just because you feel a feeling doesn't mean you have to like do something about it. Self-soothing is a good thing. It's not bad to self-soothe, but like ideally, feelings are visitors. They come and they go. And I'm not always the best at dealing with the flow. But I think, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Thank you for the like. Hello, welcome. Um, this is gonna sound really pompous, I think, but I think I'm a lot better than most people at dealing with the feelings. But sometimes, I do things I probably shouldn't. Do you do readings? Hello, Crystal. Welcome. To who's joining. What's your review? I do readings, yes, but right now I am doing a painting. If you'd like a reading, you can check out the description down below. There's an option, or there's several options for like one-on-one sessions if you're interested. And on the website that I'm on, if you go to there's a second link in the link tree. There is an option for I think it's 75% off or something for the first 10 minutes if you would like to do the yacht. So if you're interested, you can check that out. Um, but yeah, feelings. Also, Ariana Grande, love her. Um, she released Petal last night. I didn't listen to all of it. I didn't really anticipate listening to all of it. I did listen to some of it. And there's a song called Big Feelings. That's why I mentioned it. I don't think I listened to that one in depth. I love her music, but I am the type of person I've kind of strayed away from like listening to mainstream music as much. Like, okay, hold on. Let me correct myself. I listen to mainstream music. I love pop music, but I have strayed away from like tuning into like the releases, like the big releases. Like when somebody drops something and it's like really popular. It's like I usually wait a little bit to listen to it in depth. Um, because I don't know, it's like an energetic thing. If you're sensitive, you probably understand a little bit what I'm saying. It's like I don't want to. It's a lot of feelings, a lot of energy, you know. Um, Especially within an album like this. This is a really emotional, really healing album. I think. What do you think so far? I don't know what orientation it should be. I guess like this, because this is where it is for me. I don't know if you're still here, but thank you for the like. Once again, if anybody is interested, y'all, you know, write in if you like to see my Patreon or anything like that. There's a description down below with all that information. Um, so yeah. Um, and I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to deal with the big feelings. Excuse me. Um, Deep breaths is one. Ideally, learning how to sit with them, you know, which is very difficult because it's not, you know, it's like sometimes it's really uncomfortable, it's really painful, you know. Um, It's kind of why I picked this up. I started doing this. I already knew I wanted to do it, but like without saying too much, kind of developed a little bit of a habit of doing something. That is not my favorite thing. It's a nice thing, but it's not my favorite thing in the world. It's not healthy. So I was like, you know what? Let me force myself because I think one thing about it was like I didn't want to spend too much money on this, which I don't know why I was thinking that because I ended up spending like less than $10 on what I got today. But yeah, and that's a theme I think in Petal. I haven't listened to all of it, but that's a theme where she talks about. I remember seeing the lyrics in one of the previews where she was talking about replacing negative attachments with like healthy with good things. Um, Sorry, there was like a conversation in my head. And it can be really difficult, especially if you're doing it on your own, especially if you don't really have solid support. Um, you know, and when I say, I mean, if you draw your own conclusion, whatever. I'm not, but because there's all sorts of negative attachments, negative habits that people have. You know, binge eating, hooking up with strangers. Uh, oh my freaking goodness, serial dating. Like, there's a lot of different things people do to cope with like stuff, and inherently there's no good or bad. There's healthy. There's like unhealthy. That's subjective, but like yeah. And I wrote a thing on Patreon like a while ago about like releasing replacing negative habits, and it's very difficult. It's very hard. It's like a consistent effort. Like you have to like really be on top of yourself, especially if you don't have a solid support system. If you do have a solid support system, that's a little bit of weight off your back, but it can be a lot. Also, I'm gonna drink some water. I almost didn't have this. Oh shit! Almost didn't. Oh my gosh. Hopefully the audio is okay with you about this. I'm gonna listen back to this and hopefully I'm not disappointed. Crunch, crunch. I mean, but if anything, it's information for the next time I do something like this. And that's the way to go about it. Sometimes you just gotta make mistakes and learn from them. You know, I think a lot of people, and I have a lot of Virgo in my chart, so I can resonate with it. Thankfully, I don't let it get in my way as much as it could. Um, but I think a lot of people allow the idea of perfection to get in their way of like trying. Um, There was this guy I was talking to. I don't know what's going on with that. He stopped messaging me. I don't really care. I'm like really tired of like one-sided relationships, honestly. Um, but he was talking about doing a podcast or something, and I was encouraging him. I was like, asking him about it and like checking in and be like, "Hey, how's that going?" And almost every time I talked to him about it, like there was like something, some sort of excuse or whatever. Like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Let me shut up. Um, and that's not a judgment. It's just an observation. Like, once again, I have a lot of Virgo in my chart. If you don't know anything about Virgo, if you care about astrology, Virgo's very service oriented. Virgo's very like dedicated, very like hardworking. There's negative aspects of Virgo, like overthinking, overanalyzing, whatever. But Virgo's very analytical, very like matter of fact, very obviously there's no such thing as like mental illness being directly correlated to astrology, but like we could compare OCD to like Virgo because similar. Um, but yeah, Virgo's very hardworking and dedicated, and like that's me. And like being in relationships where that's not a thing is really annoying. Um, whether it's work related, whether it's like platonic, like I do not like being friends with people who don't have a work ethic. And once again, it's not a judgment thing. I'm not judging you if you know what I mean. If you like to sleep all day, that do you. But for me, I like to do things. I like to be active. I like to create things and stuff. Um, and that's actually why I left my last job because like, well, that was one of the reasons actually. Um, there was like a lot of different reasons, and most of them was the manager. Like, oh my god. Um, like I feel like the job itself was not terrible, but like one aspect of it was that I was supposed to be working alone, and that's not a problem. But like that specific store and like the way that I was trained, God bless the person who trained me. She was awesome. Like she also was lacking in knowledge, lacking in information. So I don't blame her. And she's also much younger than me. So, but the fucking like whenever I worked with him, most of the time he was just sitting in the office watching like TikToks, and I'm like, okay. Um, me personally, the way that I was hired, like originally, like first when I first started working, which was with the same company actually, which was really full circle moment during Mercury retrograde too. um, I was trained, I was taught, and this is not a healthy mindset, but this is how I was taught, and I do resonate with it because I have a very strong work ethic. I'm like, let me work. But I was kind of trained under the idea of like, if you can stand, if you can lean, you can clean. If you like find something to do, like don't just stand around. And I don't know. I feel like the last couple jobs that I've had, it was like that sort of energy of like, sitting around just doing nothing. I'm like, and then meanwhile, no tea, no shade, but then the store would be like low key a mess, and it's like, you're there's so many things we could be doing, and you're just like, what? And meanwhile, you're the manager. I'm not the manager. Why am I thinking more about the job than you are? That was one one reason why I left. There was a lot of other reasons. One of those, he was a dickhead. He was not a very, in my opinion, he was not a very good manager. Um, like, no. As a person who has taken leadership courses, who was like as a child, like who has had certain ideas instilled into me, like no, like I really don't like management. Like, there's so many people in management, and like you could just look at the freaking government as an example. Like, there's so many people in like positions like that, and it's like I'm not saying I want to be in those positions. There's a lot of responsibility, but I know that if I were in those positions, I would take it seriously. I would hope so. I would hope that I would take it seriously. I believe that I would take it seriously, but I'm not. Like even like when I got hired there, I was like, I used to be a manager technically. Like I didn't get paid as such, but I did manager work. And he, I'm sorry, I don't want to rehash everything. It's like so much. It was like a lot of trauma. Like another reason why I left was because I felt like my intuition was guiding me in that direction. Like I kept getting like consistent signs and messages of like, you need to get the fuck out of here. You need to leave, bro. And on top of that, my body, like, there was a lot of anxiety in my body every time I would go there, every time I would, like, you know what I mean. And that doesn't always mean that there's danger. That doesn't always mean you need to leave the place, but discernment, sometimes that does mean you need to leave. You need to. And I felt very strongly about that. Like, and I talked with ChatGPT about it a lot. And ChatGPT, I love ChatGPT, but sometimes they're a little bit too grounded for me, which is not bad, but like you know, like if you tell ChatGPT you're gonna try to quit your job or you feel like you should, they're gonna like try to talk you out of it a little bit. They're gonna be like, maybe that's not the best idea, which is not bad. That's not a bad thing, but as a person who is like very grounded in their sense of spirituality, it's like, okay, I understand the logical aspect of it, but I feel like I know what's going on. And I think that was a moment where I really had to trust myself. And honestly, thank thank you to the angels, thank you, because like I feel like because I was like, please, if you want me, if it's best for me to leave, like please make it very clear. And me and the manager got into such a big moment, such a like verbal moment, twice, once in person and then once over the phone. And the first time, he like kind of verbally gave me the opportunity to leave. He was like, if you don't want to work for me, then you can go, whatever. And I was like, in my head, like I already had it set. I was trying to work as much as I could. I was trying to get as much money as I could out of that job. I'd already spent like $60 or something like that, like before I even started. And then there was like so many issues with the like job before I even started, and that was like also a thing. I was like payroll was having issues. Like there were so many issues. Um, and for me, that was just like very obvious. And then when we got into the verbal, whatever you want to call it, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to leave soon. Like this isn't for me. This is not going to work out. And so I stayed that night. Like I kind of just pushed through, and I like allowed myself to stay that night. And then the next time I worked, I was working by myself, which once again, it's not inherently bad, but like the store setup, the way that it's run, like you know what I mean. It's like not the most efficient. It's not the most. It's not like I'm sorry. Like, and I told him that too, and like he had a problem with me saying that like things were not run well. I'm like, if you can't take criticism, you shouldn't be a boss. You shouldn't be a manager. Like, get over yourself. Like, you're not here for yourself. Like, he called it. He was like, my store. I'm like, who are you? You're like, you don't own the store. Like, you work for the store. You manage the store. Like, shut the fuck up. Um, like, I don't know, because I have the mindset. Like, I've never officially been a manager. I've done manager duties. I've been in that position unofficially. But like, I believe like when you're how do I say this? Because I feel like I'm coming across as very passionate, which is not bad, but just trying to be careful about my words. Like when you have people who rely on you, when you have people who like work under you, I think it's so freaking important to like prioritize that. Like not put yourself so much at the forefront and be like, this is me, this is my store, I run things, me. Like no, because it's not about you. Like even from the perspective of profit, it's not about you. It's about making money. It's about like making sure that the store runs properly. Like duh, you know. And then once again, when other people are working under you, also making sure that everybody else is comfortable, everybody else is able to do their jobs, and like, it was just such a hostile work environment because of him. Like, I can't blame anybody else. I could, but I can't blame anybody else that was working there because like they were just kind of existing under his management. But like, it was such a toxic environment, and like the idea of working by myself seemed appealing, but like also when you counter or factor into account having to do all of the like behind the counter stuff, and then also like having to make food and like coffee and donuts and stuff. It's like, mm, and then also it's just me, and also the store got really hot. Like I remember I was sweating so bad when I worked by myself. Oh my god. And I feel like that in itself, when I get really sweaty, that's definitely a sign for me to like I shouldn't be like because once again I worked in the same company like a long time ago. Like that was my very first job. Once again, full circle moment. Um, and so had another alarm go off, That's my sleep time alarm. Probably won't be sleeping soon, but I don't know. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I remember that was a thing. Like back when I was working like for the first time, like there were moments like because I worked there for like 5 years or so, and that store I feel like in the back of my heart, in the back of my mind, that store was haunted because nobody would stay. It was like a new manager every few months. Like there was no consistent manager at that store. It was a relatively big store. They got a lot of business, but it was just like you know what I mean. There was always some dramatic thing that happened to the manager, or they would just leave, or like you know, something crazy. Um, and then after a while, I feel like my body was just yelling at me, being like, you need to do something else. You need to move on." I wasn't as in tune into my, I can speak. I wasn't as in tune to my intuition. I was making sure that the mic was on. Embarrassing. I wasn't as in tune into my intuition and whatnot as I am today back then. But I definitely recognized on some level that my body was like telling me like, hey, this is you need to move on. You need to do something else. Because I think I was doing other stuff. I think I was doing like readings and whatnot. I think I was on Twitter. I think that's when I was really popping on Twitter. I'm not. I don't remember. I wasn't on TikTok then, for sure. Or was I? Time. I don't know. But I don't know. Um, but yeah, my body was definitely telling me you need to leave. And for most of us, I think all of us, if I could say that, we like our bodies know like what's going on. Our bodies know before our minds do. And I think a lot of us try so hard, whether it's unconscious or unconscious, a lot of us try so hard to try to like rationalize and like make sense of like what our body is saying. Like whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, like whatever, we try to be like, well, maybe it's just this, maybe I'm just yes, maybe no. Your body is telling you that this is not good for you. This place is not good for you. And obviously, most people have the idea that like we need money, we need this job, but there's so many jobs, there's so many opportunities, there's so many different things you could do. You know, it's like you don't need that one thing. Also, I kind of veered off from the painting. I don't know. I feel like this is kind of done for now. I don't know, I'm gonna sign the back of this, so I know what orientation is. That's the only reason why I'm doing that. Because I don't want to accidentally end up. It doesn't even matter, but I don't want to accidentally have it upside down. Um, I don't know. I just vented this whole time, and I also don't know if anybody's gonna actually tune into this, which makes me a little bit annoyed, a little bit sad because I was feeling really anxious about doing this. But it's okay. It's the little moments, and that's another thing about starting new things. Sometimes, like you're not gonna always see the progress you want. You're not gonna always gonna see the results you want right away, and you just have to keep showing up. You just have to keep doing it. Which I'm not unfamiliar with. That's I already know that. But so if anybody happens to watch this in the future, I hope you got something out of this. I hope you enjoyed this, whatever this was. Once again, if you'd like to check out the description down below, there's the Patreon, there's music, there's books, whatever. Yeah, let me get off. Hello, Darth Vader, I'm your father. No, I hope you know that whatever you're going through is temporary. I hope you know miracles do happen all the freaking time. Okay, so try to keep your head up, keep your spirits high. All right, I love you. Bye. I have to let it linger though because I don't know. It doesn't. It cuts off if I don't. So, but yeah, thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a nice rest of your night or day, or whatever time zone. I don't know. Doesn't matter. All right.